Good morning, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing to you Opus Castle Chapter 1 for the Nintendo Switch. This was really weirdly marketed on the Switch eShop, which is why I'm only reviewing Chapter 1, because you're told Opus Castle is a free download. But then you're also told that Chapter 2 is $5 DLC. But then, when you go into the chapter select on the main menu, which you need to do in order to start a new game, surprised they don't just have new game as an option, you're told that there are 6 chapters altogether, but chapters 3 through 6 are unavailable. And the eShop has no indication whether buying chapter 2 gives you the rest, or if perhaps they're going to be released at a later date. So it's a little bit strange, and I wish that they did a better job of communicating if perhaps this was going to be like Deltarune, where it's an episodic release. This is a first-person adventure game with elements of exploration and picking up items, and that's really it as far as the controls. You can pull out a smartphone, and the smartphone has a lot of apps, but the only ones that worked in this chapter were the flashlight and choosing wallpapers, which didn't seem to affect the phone's background in the slightest. So I think that was just used for the tutorial, or maybe that's saved for a later chapter. You're told that there's a run button, but in this chapter you're not allowed to run. One of the characters even says, "No, I refuse to run. Stop trying." Is that another quality of life feature that's locked behind the DLC? This game's structure is so weird. This is based on a true story, and it's apparently based on a real-life haunting in São Paulo, Brazil. I hope I pronounced that right. And you're meant to uncover the mystery of why all of these hauntings are happening. So this game has quite a lot of jump scares. It has some very creepy chanting in the early area, and you're meant to just find the right object to proceed through the right door so that you can progress the story. Along the way, you can make quick-time decisions to impact how the story will play out, although Chapter 1 really only has one ending, which is a teaser for Chapters 2 and maybe beyond. I wish I could like this game more because it feels very much like the Stanley Parable in its controls. But it's not nearly as funny, which, is the point. It's a horror game. But the game's controls often don't work the way that they should. Oftentimes the environments are either too dark or too small to figure out what you're supposed to do, and even though there is a memo on the upper left of the screen telling you your current objective, it's both extremely vague and only appears for a couple of seconds before it disappears. Not only that, but there's often input delay for when you want to interact with an object. You can only interact with objects if they're either highlighted or if the game literally says press A to interact, so there's a lot of closed doors that you can't open. And not only that, but the objects that you have to find are usually really small and usually keys. And some of them involve you looking in very non-intuitive places. So overall, I found this game a lot more frustrating than it should have been. You could argue, well, it's free, so why have so many expectations? Again, using Deltarune, that game was free, and it felt like a completed game. So why does this feel so broken? Not only that, but this game is really short. You could probably beat Chapter 1 in about 10 minutes if you know what you're doing, not including the loading screens and some of the unskippable cutscenes. Now, the jump scares might throw you off a little bit, but if you're used to, say, Five Nights at Freddy's, they probably won't disturb you too much unless you take into account that this is based on a true story. Then maybe they might unnerve you a little bit. I personally don't see myself wanting to purchase the rest of the chapters. I found that the game was often too cryptic and the items were too small, and it just wasn't a very enjoyable experience. I don't see the need to risk spending money to potentially have the rest of the experience suffer from the same input lag and the same vague objectives and the same really small objects that are hard to identify and are in really weird places. But hey, Chapter 1 is free, so you're not losing any money, and Chapter 2 is only $5, so if you feel like this kind of game is for you and you like occult, true story-based horrors, maybe give it a try. Just don't expect it to control very well, and don't expect to be able to move very fast either. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Let me know down in the comments if I missed anything, or if you have any questions. I'd like to thank my patrons, Matthew Rakowski, Sploon Ghost, and Splatcat for supporting me financially. A link will be in the description if you'd like to join my Patreon. And until the next time, remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye!